name is Rachel and I'll be helping you do this month's craft, which is a Glam Clam Ring Rest. Bring it close in there. So what you want to do to get started is stop at the library and ask for your craft pack. Grab a pair of scissors and let's get started. Now if you're like me, I tend to get more paint on me than on the project, so you may want to put something down on your surface, a piece of wax paper, some newspaper to get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take your clam shell, your vial of gold paint and your paintbrush, and you'll paint the outside of your seashell. And make sure you get up here around the crest and the little knobby parts. And then turn around and just along the edge here, paint about a 1/4 inch into the gold paint as well. Do that all over on the outside and on the edge. Let it dry, then do it again. Second coat always looks better. While that's drying, you can take your piece of pattern paper. What we're going to do is just cut some strips, again about a 1/4 inch, and then just cut some squares. Well, I guess they're more like rectangles, aren't they? Don't make them too big because we want them small enough that they'll lay smoothly on the inside of your shell. Do that. And I gave you a generous piece of paper, so maybe start out with maybe doing half of it because that should be plenty. And then once you have all your squares cut and your gold paint is dry, what you'll do is you'll take your paintbrush, clean it out and dry it off. And then I've given you a little container, the Mod Podge, and that's the container, that's the round one with the M on top. Take the top off that, and then you're going to be brushing the inside of your shell with a layer of Mod Podge. Make sure you get, again, up here in the crest part. Just a thin layer, doesn't have to be too thick. And then you'll take your squares, your paper squares, and start from farthest back in and layer them on the inside. And make sure you get back there pretty far because when it lays flat, you can see on the inside. Believe me, I did it and I had to go back and redo it again. So, start from the back and begin to layer them. And as you layer them down, press them down into the Mod Podge. And they can overlap because you don't want any of the inside of the shell showing. So as you layer, again, you can take some more Mod Podge and paint it on top. So you have your layer of Mod Podge against your shell. Put your pattern paper down and then brush on top of the pattern paper with another layer of the Mod Podge. Now as you work your way to the outside with your pattern paper, as you get to the edge where your gold paint is, kind of make your squares together so it kind of forms a nice clean line at the edge. So that'll just look better against your gold line. It's kind of difficult to see here, but I'll try to get in closer. So you're just kind of, there you are, creating more of a line around the edge. There's not any jaggedy edges. Now set that aside and let that dry. And this is a glossy Mod Podge. That's hard to say. So it'll give it a nice sheen when it's done. Now as that dries, in your bag you'll have 2 little pearls and one of these nifty bags with a G on it. You can see, there you are. And along the corner, I think over here, there's a little dotted line that says cut here. What you do is you'll just snip the corner of the edge. That way you can control the glue coming out a little bit better. So once you snip the corner, you'll take your pearl. And if you notice on your pearl, there's 2 sides with holes on them because they're from a necklace. So then you just take your glue, and on the side with the hole up, you apply the glue so it kind of covers that hole, fills it in. Now, if you notice when you put your seashell down on the flat surface, it kind of finds its own level. So with the glue on top, just kind of push one of the pearls in so it just rests against your shell. Now it's going to be all wonky and you're like, what is she talking about? Don't worry, it straightens itself out with the second one. So again, take your glue, squeeze it on the side with the hole, take it down, and this is where you kind of level it. So you kind of push your shell up a little bit and let that pearl shove it up a little bit until the shell is resting flat against your pearls and it is as high as you want it. Because you don't want it to lay too flat because your rings will just slide right out. So make sure you have a little bit of lift on there. And kind of find your level. You might need to tuck it in a little bit until you find out where it's going to rest. And if you like to, you can squirt a little bit more glue around the top. The glue should dry clear, so you should be okay. Just don't get too gloppy. I did on mine. I had to scrape it off. So let that dry. And then once that's dry, you have your Glam Clam ring rest. See how they ended up like that around there, if you can see. They just stick on the bottom and they find a rest. And then you can put your ring in there. Now if you're like me, my rings usually stay in the jewelry box because I'm always digging or painting or something. So my friend, if you are like me and you're not too much into the bling, you have just made yourself a crafty crustacean clip holder. Break out your paper clips, give them a new home. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next month. And until then, stay crafty, my friends.